Okay, to move along, after Mechiras Chametz, we learned the basic things. Okay, the next thing we're going to learn is what's called Bedikas Chametz, searching for the Chametz. Now, again, the Torah says you're not allowed to own Chametz, you're not allowed to see Chametz that belongs to you. Somebody else's you could see. And then the Torah says, you have to destroy the sa'ar, the chametz, from your house. So therefore, even though min ha'Torah, if somebody does bittul chametz, they just nullify the chametz. They make it basically free for all. So biblically, they basically did what they had to do. They fulfilled their obligation. It's not mine anymore. I nullified it. But the Gemara says that you still have to do bedikas chametz. It's basically midrabanan, according to most opinions. You have to do bedikas chametz from midrabanan. The rabbis come along. Why? Because, as the expression the Gemara is, Shema Yimsa Gluska Yafa. You might find a very expensive bottle of chametz that you're not really interested in making it nullified, free for all. So we're afraid you might find the middle of Pesach, after you did bittul, you're going to find chametz in your house. So therefore the din is that the night before Erev Pesach, except this year's night earlier, the night of Yud Daled, which is Erev Pesach, so you have to search bedikas chametz all over the place, all over the house. Not only that, any place that you normally bring chametz into during the year. As Gemara calls the Mishnah called Makom Shemachnisim Bechametz. A place that you bring chametz into that house or whatever it may be. You have to do bedikas chametz. Okay, because you might find chametz here. Bittul is not going to be enough. Only min ha'Torah it's enough, but not midrabanan. So you have to search chametz, which means any place a person is going to own chametz. Let's say if you have a business and you bring food into your business, so then you have chametz. It's a place you brought chametz into. So you have to be beidik your area in the business. What happens if you have non-Jewish workers that bring their chametz? That's their chametz. It's not your chametz. Again, it's not your chametz that you can transgress by your own, by your matzah. But any place, I'll give you a very simple example, which is one of the most difficult places if you have little kids and you do something called carpool, and the kids eat in the car. So a car that you're going to be using during Pesach, you must do bedikas chametz. That means you have to make sure there is no chametz under the seats, in between the seats, all over the place. Okay? Because if your kids eat carpool food, in the car it's usually cookies and pretzels that crumble and crumbs all over the place. So you have to clean up the car unless you don't want to use it. If you want to sell it with your chametz, then you could, but then you can't use it during Pesach. You can't say, okay, I'll sell the trunk of the car, but not the car. You can't do that either, because the trunk goes where the car is going. I mean, usually. The car is going where the trunk is going, and you can't say, you might forget and open the trunk. Like most people drive a car, they don't think they open the trunk. So a car is a place, somebody has a business, somebody has places that they're going to have chametz in, then you have to do bedikas chametz. If you know it's a place that you never brought chametz into, halachically you don't have to do bedikas chametz because there is no chametz as far as you know. Okay? Now there's a very interesting question. It's a big machlekes in halacha, in fact. What?
The breadcrumbs, so like same token, you put the breadcrumb and the 10 piece of breadcrumb, but I put 11 just in case.
We'll discuss why you do that.
Yeah. So you put it in areas that you know that there was chametz going in.
I don't hear you.
In rooms and
Louder.
You put the 10 pieces that you want to check.
You can put it wherever you want. Well, let's leave it at 10 people. That's a separate topic. So now there's a big argument in halacha like this. The chametz is sold. Let's use this year's days, not this year we sell chametz Friday morning. Okay? So there's a question now like this. The rooms that I'm planning to sell to the guy, let's say I'm closing up rooms or a house. I'm not going to be in my house. So I'm closing up the whole house and selling it to the guy. The question is, the obligation of B'dikas Chametz is Thursday night. When is the sale of the Chametz? Friday morning. That means Thursday night, when you had an obligation to do B'dikas Chametz, the places that you're going to be selling, l'cha'er, you have to do B'dikas Chametz, because you didn't sell it yet. It's right now, it's yours. And it's a place you brought Chametz into. So l'cha'er, you would have to do B'dikas Chametz, even in the rooms that you're going to be selling to the guy. And there is a big machlekes in halacha, the Mekar Chaim, and the Chaim. There's a lot of opinions that say you have to do B'dikas Chametz, even though you're selling the room, but the sale is the next day. B'dikas Chametz is the night before, it's still yours. So if it's yours, you have to do B'dikas Chametz. Tzemach Tzedek and others are emphatically disagree with that, and they say you don't have to do B'dikas Chametz. Why not? Now it's yours. Because when the Chacham said you have to do B'dikas Chametz, what is the purpose of it? That during Pesach, you're not going to find any Chametz. But the rooms that you know you're selling, so when Pesach starts, those rooms are sold. So yeah, right now it's yours. Right now it's not sold yet. So, but it's not, because the Takana B'dikas Chametz, the reason why the Chacham made the mitzvah of searching for Chametz is that you might find Chametz during Pesach, but that doesn't apply to the rooms that you're going to be selling. And therefore we hold that you don't have to do B'dikas Chametz in those rooms. Other poskim today say you do have to. But we hold that you don't have to. Now, there's another interesting thing with B'dika, before we go into the details of B'dika. What happens if somebody is leaving their house before Pesach, for the whole Pesach? Do they have to do a B'dikas Chametz in the house before they leave? Because they're selling it. You're such a scholar. Do you want to give the class?
No, I just remember what you said.
What did I say?
That even though you leave the house, you have to still do one.
Why?
Because still the custom.
No. The din is like this. Once 30 days of Pesach start, from Purim, the 30-day aura of Pesach starts, you have an obligation to do a B'dikas Chametz. You have an obligation to do a B'dikas Chametz. What happens if you're leaving before 30 days? You leave your house before Purim, you're going away for 3 months, 2 months, whatever. So then, if you're not coming back during Pesach, then you don't have to do B'dikas Chametz, because you left before the obligation of B'dikas Chametz began. You left more than 30 days before Pesach. You're not going to be in the house during Pesach. So then you don't have to do a B'dikas Chametz. But if you leave your house a week before Pesach, or a day before, 2 days before Pesach, then you have an obligation to do a B'dikas Chametz. Now, the rooms you're selling, you don't have to do B'dikas Chametz in. But so let's say I'm leaving my house, I'm selling the whole house. Okay? But nevertheless, I have to do a B'dikas Chametz. So the night before I leave, say it's a week before Pesach, 2 weeks before Pesach. I'm leaving Monday morning, let's say. Sunday night, you have to do B'dikas Chametz in one room. Why in one room? Because the rest of the house you're selling. You have an obligation to do a B'dikas Chametz. So it doesn't say how much you have to do. You know, if you have one room, so you do B'dikas Chametz with a flashlight or a candle, no bracha, because only time you make a bracha on B'dikas Chametz if it's the night of B'dikas Chametz, which this year would be Thursday night. So then you make a bracha. So halachically, if a guy leaves, or I'll give you another example, Bachrim are in a dorm, and they're leaving for Pesach, right? The yeshiva is closed for Pesach. They still, the night before they leave, they have to make B'dikas Chametz without a bracha, because it's not the 13th. If they're going to leave out of Pesach in the morning, and they're still in their room Thursday. Hello. Moshe. Okay. We're still talking. So then, you could do B'dikas Chametz with a bracha Thursday night, and you're leaving Friday morning. Let's say people are going to San Diego for Yom Tov from here, yeah? So you're not going 2 days before. You're going out of Pesach. Friday morning, you're going to San Diego, let's say, right? So you're still home Thursday night. So you have to do B'dikas Chametz, but you're not coming back for Pesach. You're selling the house. But you have an obligation to do B'dikas Chametz. So you have an obligation to do b'dikas chametz. There's a night you have to do b'dikas chametz with the bracha in one room. What? 1 second. Yeah. You.
Every person in the house should do this.
No, the obligation's on the head of the house. He can make them shluchim. They can do it for him. In fact, the yeshiva kid called me. He already left, already for Pesach. He forgot to do b'dikas chametz in his room. But he has roommates, and they're going to do it next week, before they leave. So he told them what he should do is, tell the boys, one of you, you're the shliach, to do b'dikas chametz for me. You can make a shliach to do b'dikas chametz. That's not an issue. But one time, I'm going to get everybody's question. One thing I do tell people to do, another question is, let's say I do b'dikas chametz a week before, a week earlier. Should I put out 10 pieces of bread or not? So some people say yes, some people say no, and I can tell you from experience, I tell people 100% not. Unless if you're going to burn it the next day. Why? Because it happened not once, not twice. Guys went away, they did b'dikas chametz a week earlier. They put the 10 pieces of bread in their suitcase because they're going to burn it out of Pesach wherever they went, wherever they're going to. Then they forgot because, you're not into it. And then, in the middle of Pesach, you open up your suitcase, and you have 10 pieces of bread, which is mamash chametz. So I told them, if you're not doing it at a Pesach, or you're not going to burn it the next day, don't put out the 10 pieces of bread, because we'll learn that you really don't have to, halachically, even though the minhag is to do it. But I told you, you're going to make it worse. So,
It has to burn the whole suitcase.
no, just the chametz in the suitcase, yeah. Yeah, if you're doing one room in the house, yeah, you have to do with a bracha. It's the night of b'dikas chametz. Then you put out the 10 pieces of bread. You do it, you do it correctly. Yeah, Avram.
Why is it that you have to do?
I don't hear you.
Why is it that you have to that was included in the
When?
If you're moving, if you're not.
Because you have an obligation to do a b'dikas chametz. Now I can tell you another eitzah that you could do.
Why is it if you're going to a place that's completely clean?
But you left, once 30 days come and you leave your house, you have an obligation to do a b'dikas chametz somewhere. Now, I'll give you an example. What happens if you're going to a hotel, okay, and you get there 2 days before Pesach? You get there Thursday morning, this year, right? Thursday morning you get to the hotel. You're renting the room, now the room is yours. So technically, you could do b'dikas chametz in the hotel room, Thursday night, with a bracha, with the 10 pieces, whatever, if you're able to do that, and then you could do it there. But you have to rent the room. Now I'll give you another example. What happens if a married couple is going to their parents or in-laws for Pesach? Okay? So they're leaving their house. They're not going to be home for the whole Pesach. But if they come to their parents or in-laws, the problem is, it's not their obligation, a bedika. So they can't just do a bedika Thursday night with a bracha because it's not their house. It's not their obligation to do bedikas chametz. But what they could do, according to most opinions, you can give your father $1. So you get there 2 days before Pesach. You give your father or father-in-law $1 and say, I'm renting the room that we're staying in. I'm renting the room. You can't do it the night of bedikas chametz. That's more questionable. But the day before Pesach, before bedikas chametz, you're coming to your parents-in-law's house, your brother-in-law's house, whatever it is. You give him $1 and say, listen, I'm renting the room we're staying in, so now it's yours. Bedikas chametz night comes, it's your room. So then you can do bedikas chametz with the bracha. Then you don't have to do it in your house. Then you don't have to do it in your house because, again, the house you're selling, you have to do bedikas chametz because you need to do a bedikas chametz. So you're doing the mitzvah the night of over there.
This is Shabbat. That's the Thursday night with bracha.
Thursday night with the bracha because that's the night of bedikas chametz. Even though it's not normally the night, but the Chachamim said you have to do it the night before. This year the Chacham say you have to do it. That's when the mitzvah is.
Friday, Thursday.
Yeah.
If the man is not home and the wife should do it,
Not home at all.
yeah, he's away.
Yes, and he has an obligation. Or if a woman lives alone, If a woman lives alone, she has to do B'dikas Chametz. Yeah. Yeah.
So why is it that you have to do the, I'm sorry, I'm not saying.
Because within 30 days, the Chametz said the aura of Pesach started. If the aura of Pesach started, you have an obligation with Rabbanan to do a B'dikas Chametz. If you own a house, you have a big, if you're a kid and leaving at home, you don't have an obligation to do B'dikas Chametz. It's not your house. But if you're leaving your house, but if it's within 30 days, even if you're not coming back during Pesach, you still have an obligation to do B'dikas Chametz.
With the bracha?
If you're doing it Thursday night, yeah.
So only the head of the house says bracha?
Yes. Machat Shinas Ramayim Kim Shalag Al Teira B'Chanag Hashem Ed.